Hello everybody, Mr. Hissner here, and today we are going to start looking at parallelograms. Now you just did a little activity where you came up with 3 conjectures about parallelograms, and now I just want to look at this a little bit more formally. So whenever we do have a parallelogram, just some things that we can come to expect and the properties that we see from those parallelograms. So I just poorly drew a parallelogram over here to the side, and what do we know about parallelograms? Well, we know that these are formed by two sets of parallel line segments. I'm just going to say lines here. So we have this set on the top and this set on the sides. And what we see because of that, one of the things that we see here is that, what do we call those? Opposite sides are congruent. So, for example, we know that these two sides opposite each other are congruent, and then these two sides opposite each other are also congruent. And we know that opposite angles are congruent. Opposite angles. Opposite, my bad. My bad. It's been a while. Dusting off the old brain, right? Opposite sides are congruent. Opposite angles are congruent. So we saw, like this angle in the corner here, and the one opposite of it, these two angles are congruent. And likewise, the other two angles are congruent as well. So these two angles in the corner here also congruent. So those are the things that we've seen so far. And now we know that the intersection of the diagonals, so this point here, actually creates a midpoint. Now that means that on either side the angles, the segments are congruent. So the intersection of diagonals, I don't know, I have no idea how to spell that. Diagonals makes midpoint. I'm just going to write MP. So the segments on either side of the diagonals are a midpoint. And what does this mean? Well, if we just look at this figure here, we can see very simply this is super easy to do. Okay, so this one's 15. It's because these two are right across from each other. Okay, so this one is 8 because these two are right across from each other. That means that this one is 68. And how could we possibly find this? Well, let's look for A. Well, this is a transversal region. Okay, and so we have this angle in here, and then this angle in blue over here, and these are consecutive interior angles. And so we know that consecutive interior angles add up to 180 degrees. Man, could you imagine? Mr. Hissner is expecting you to remember stuff. I know. Big news here, guys. I can't believe that I'm expecting you to remember fundamental principles of geometry. It's crazy. I know it's tough to do, but we're gonna do it together, and we're gonna get through this. So we know that the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle D, for example, this is equal to 180, and so this is 68. This is our unknown, and so really all we have to do is just take 168 and subtract it from 180 to get our answer, and this is 20. No, smaller. This is 2, 112. Got it. So pretty easy here, but again, the main thing here that you guys have to remember is that this is a transversal region. So now I want to find some other angles, right? Over here, there's a bunch of angles, but I'm just going to go through and just remind you that. Notice we have opposite sides are parallel, and that means that this angle that in here that is this angle in here that is 21, right? That means that there's a transversal that goes over here, and that means that this angle over here is 21. Okay? This angle in here that is 71. There's a transversal here, and so that angle is 71. Okay, when we're told this one here is FED is 134, that's this one here. FED is 134. So we know that, FED that we can have the whole angle. So I can find this one in here in blue, right? So I would take 134, 71, subtract them. So this one here would be 53. And then I can really go about and start just even solve, like I can look for this angle in here in green by looking at, okay, 1 plus 1 plus 1, these three are going to add up to 180, right? And then I can find this one because these two will add up to 180. Then I can find this one because these three will add up to 180. So this is one of those things where if you know what you're doing and it's easy for you to find angle measurements, these are literal pieces of cake. If you don't, however, if you haven't been tuning in to our fundamental principles of geometry like angle addition and the angle sum theorem, this is a good time to dust that old brain sauce off and have some nice practice here. So thanks for watching.